Hi, I'm Amy Smallers, CEO of HealthWise Solutions. I work with healthcare and other professionals to define or redefine their value messages for their specific target audiences so they can communicate the message, have it heard, and used in practice. Today I was thinking about this particular blog post, and it came to mind with last night rereading an article that I read in the Boston Globe back in February. And it was 7 things every kid should master. And I thought this was great because I shared it with friends, colleagues, neighbors, because I have 2 young sons and I want to instill positive things in them so they can be active contributors to society and their community. So I thought, hey, this is a great thing for me to look at and to share with others so we can be sure we try to do some of this with our kids at home. And after rereading it last night, I thought, well, wait a minute, it's not just kids, it's people of all ages, because getting a mastery or working to develop something that you can master in life takes time and practice. You know, Malcolm Gladwell talks about that in Outliers, the 10,000 hours of practice that we need to have in order to become or considered an expert or master in something. So I thought, well, these 7 things are not only for kids to master, but every person to master. So I'm going to walk through these 7 things and my take on how we can work toward them and why they're important. So number 1 on that list is reading. And for those of you who know me and some of you who don't, I am very old-fashioned. I like to have the book, I like to have the paper, the smell of the book, the feel of it. But I also have a Kindle, and my friends are telling me to get a Nook, so I'm working on that piece of it. But I think reading is a lost art that we have in our society. We're too busy looking for Facebook post updates, a quick blurb on LinkedIn, without taking the time to read an article and or read a newspaper or read a book. Reading helps you get a broader perspective from other people's thoughts and approaches, and or you can just do a deeper dive into your own area of expertise. So with number 1, reading, I think that's very important, some things we should master. Number 2 is inquiring. Unfortunately, as we get older, we oftentimes lose some of our inquisitiveness and fuel for curiosity. And I think that's something that we need to keep and maintain in terms of the curiosity. And reading can help fuel that because you can learn, be curious about something and read about it. Also in terms of our daily lives, whether it be at work or at home, not being afraid to ask a question, well, why are you doing this approach? Or why could we try it this way? Or how about this way? And so that's the level of inquiry that I think we need to incorporate more in our daily lives. Number 3, which is related to inquiry, is flexible thinking and use of evidence. This becomes specific with some of my healthcare clients, specifically as being flexible in how you think about or approach a challenge that you have, but also the use of evidence. You cannot give the same pieces of evidence to the 5 different audiences. So being flexible enough to understand that perspective is very important. Number 4 on that list is conversation. Again, I relate this with reading that it's a lost art. Asking questions because you care to ask them, and asking questions with the intent to listen, not the intent to respond immediately. With the fast pace of our lives or how we're choosing to live our lives lately, sitting down and having a conversation does not happen as often. And it's something that we should do more of and take time to do more of. So conversation, I think, is very important. It's related to number 5 on this list, which is collaborations. In order to collaborate, you need to have conversations, be flexible in your thinking, oftentimes being the curious or having that curiosity in you. But collaboration is working with others, respecting other people's expertise and what they bring to the table. Everybody has something that they can contribute, and realizing what that contribution is just makes the end product so much better. Number 6 is one of my favorites, and it's engagement. Now, what do I mean by engagement? It's not getting married or proposing to somebody. In this particular sense, engagement is being present and being active. So as an example, how many of you have had or will have a teleconference call with your colleagues or with a client? And how many of you, while on that call, are looking at your text messages, checking Facebook, checking LinkedIn, reading an article online, finishing that proposal that's due by 5 o'clock this afternoon or tomorrow that you just have to finish that up. In order to really be engaged, you have to not multitask and force yourself to be present and active. And when that happens, it's amazing because you're giving yourself to that conversation, giving yourself to that meeting, giving yourself to that time, you're actually getting more out of that because you are present and active. Number 7, last but not least, is well-being. Now, I think none of them are more or less important than the others, but this one has a particular piece because when I think of this, I go to Maslow's hierarchy, which for those who aren't familiar, it's a pyramid and it has 5 levels. And there's basic levels around food and safety, for instance. So in order to have any sort of well-being, you have to feel that you're safe in your environment and not be hungry or want for food. If you have this basic well-being met, then you're able to move to the next levels that are emotional engagement and eventually to self-actualization and feeling confident enough in yourself to move forward. So putting these 7 together, I think, like I started this out, it's not just 7 things kids can master. I think it's 7 things every person should master. But having said that, I'd love to hear from you. What are your comments? Do you agree that these 7 pieces are important? Do you think really only 4 or 5 of them are accounting for? Or have we missed? Or are there pieces that aren't included in that? So I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment in the box below. And thanks very much, and have a great day.